The great station of Velmore was alive with color and sound. Banners of countless worlds hung across the ceiling, swaying gently in the artificial breeze. The hall itself was circular, built with shining metal floors that reflected the light of hanging crystals. Thousands of voices filled the chamber as leaders, warriors, and envoys from every known star system gathered for a ceremony that was held only once in an age. The alliance ritual was no small matter. It was a time when rulers from different worlds would stand side by side and declare partnerships that would guide peace, trade, and protection across the galaxy. No weapon was allowed within the hall, for this day was meant to be one of trust. On the raised platform at the center stood a long table, carved from dark stone said to be older than many of the stars themselves. Behind it, seats were arranged in a circle for the most powerful leaders present. They came in many shapes and sizes. Some were tall and covered in scales, others small and hidden in robes. A few shone with bodies of pure light, while others looked not much different from the humans who had only recently stepped onto the galactic stage. Every leader was to walk forward and choose a partner from among the gathering. The chosen would stand as a symbol of unity between their kind. It was not only a political bond, but a ritual of great weight. To refuse someone was seen as an insult, but to stand alone was far worse. To stand alone meant being untrusted, unwanted, and unseen. One by one, the ritual began. A scaled lord from the Vicari chose a merchant queen from the Harn. A being of light extended its glow toward a cloaked seer from the southern rim. Each choice was met with applause, with music that filled the air, with shouts of joy from watching crowds. Humans watched carefully. They were still new to the grand stage of stars. Earth's ships had only reached the outer systems a century ago, but already the resilience of humankind was noted. Many wondered if humans would be chosen as partners this day, and several already had been. Their natural courage and their curious spirit made them appealing to many, but not everyone was so welcomed. At the far end of the hall, a figure stood alone. She was taller than most, her form draped in black and silver robes that flowed like liquid shadow. Her hair was long and dark, falling down her back like a river of midnight. Her skin was pale, almost glowing under the crystal light, and her eyes were crimson pools that seemed to look straight through the soul of anyone who dared meet them. She was the Queen of the Zorath, often whispered about as the Vampire Queen. The Zorath were feared across many systems. Legends told of their power to draw life energy from others, though no one could say when such an act had last been seen. They were strong, graceful, and mysterious. Too mysterious for comfort. Other rulers distrusted what they could not understand, and so the Vampire Queen stood with no partner. As the ceremony went on, leaders glanced her way but quickly turned back. They whispered among themselves but dared not approach. Some lowered their voices, speaking of curses and dangers. Others shook their heads, unwilling to risk insult by refusal but also unwilling to risk stepping close. The Queen stood still, her chin high, her expression calm. She gave no sign of sadness or anger, but those who looked carefully saw the truth in her stillness. Every other ruler had been chosen or had chosen in turn. She alone remained unclaimed. The hall was bright with joy for others, but around her it was silent. Even those who did not believe the old tales found her presence unsettling. Her crimson eyes, her pale hands folded neatly before her, the way she seemed untouched by the warmth of the lights above. It all created a space of distance. The music that played for each new pairing grew louder, yet it only made her solitude clearer. Where others were celebrated with cheers, she was left in silence, and then the final names were called. Each leader now stood with a chosen partner beside them, all except the Queen. The master of the ritual looked down the list and hesitated. His gaze flicked toward her, then away again. The air grew tense. Was the ritual to end like this? With one ruler ignored? Such a thing had never been done before, but the fear of the Queen was stronger than the weight of tradition. The Queen did not move. Her crimson eyes scanned the circle. She seemed to read every face, yet none returned her gaze. She was used to this silence, this wall of fear. For her kind, it had always been so. Still, a small flicker of something moved behind her calm mask. It was not anger. It was not despair. It was a quiet ache, a reminder that though she ruled, she remained apart. Then came a shift in the air. A chair scraped softly as one figure rose. A human. He was not a ruler, nor a general, nor a hero sung in songs. His name was Aaron, and he was present as an aide to his commander who had already chosen a partner earlier in the day. Yet as he watched the queen stand alone, something stirred in him. He had listened to the whispers. He had heard the tales told in fear. But as he studied her now, he saw not a monster nor a danger. He saw a leader left without respect, a person treated as less than she deserved. Something in that sight touched the human spirit within him, the same spirit that had driven his kind across oceans, deserts, and now stars. Aaron did not think of politics or power. He did not think of danger or reward. He thought only that no one deserved to stand alone in a hall meant for unity. The queen's crimson eyes turned slightly as he moved. His steps were steady, unhurried, but every sound of his boots on the shining floor echoed in the silence. The music stilled. The whispers faded. Every eye in the chamber turned to him. Aaron walked toward the queen. His hands were open at his sides, showing no fear. When he reached the center, he stopped before her. The difference in their height was clear, but so was the calm in his face. Slowly, he lifted one hand. He did not kneel. He did not bow. He simply offered his hand as a partner. The chamber seemed to hold its breath. The queen looked at him, her crimson eyes meeting his steady gaze. For a long moment, nothing moved. But within her stillness, something shifted. A flicker of surprise, faint as a star at dawn. Her pale hand lifted, graceful and calm, and she placed it in his. The silence broke into a storm of voices, gasps, shouts, arguments. Yet in the center of the hall, the queen and the human stood hand in hand. She was no longer alone. And though the ritual was far from over, something had already changed in the galaxy. The hall was no longer filled with music. Instead, it shook with voices. The moment Aaron placed his hand in the queen's, the ceremony lost its balance. Leaders who had just finished celebrating their new partnerships now stared in disbelief. Some leaned toward one another, whispering sharply. Others stood from their seats in open protest. Aaron kept his gaze steady. His hand remained firm in hers. He felt the coolness of her touch, like stone resting in the shade of night. Yet it was not cold with malice. It was simply different. Her crimson eyes studied him, and though she said nothing, her silence spoke volumes. She had not expected anyone to reach for her. The master of the ritual cleared his throat, his voice unsteady. The human aide has stepped forward. He offers his hand to the Queen of the Zorath. This choice is unusual. The circle will consider if it is to be accepted. At once the chamber roared. A scaled lord slammed his claw against the table. This cannot stand. A ritual bond is for rulers and chosen champions, not for servants. His voice rattled the air. A cloaked seer leaned forward, her hood casting shadows over her face. The Zorath have been silent for centuries. Their queen has never sought peace, only distance. Now a human boy dares to stand where no ruler would? Aaron's commander, seated among the human delegation, rose to speak. He may be young, but he has done what none of us dared. He saw her worth when the rest of you turned away. The scaled lord hissed. You humans are too bold for your own good. Do you not fear what she is? Fear. The word spread like a spark in dry grass. It was the unspoken truth behind every whisper in the hall. The Zorath were feared. The queen, most of all. That fear was the reason she had been left alone. Aaron looked around the chamber. His voice was calm when he spoke. You call her dangerous, but none of you have seen her act against you. You tell stories, but you do not see the person before you. If this is a ceremony of trust, then let us show trust. His words did not silence the protests, but they did give pause. The queen tilted her head slightly as though weighing his courage. For the first time she spoke, her voice smooth and low, carrying across the hall like a river in the dark. Enough, she said. If my hand is unwelcome, I will not press it. The human stepped forward without command. I accept his gesture, but I do not demand yours. The simple strength of her words left the hall uneasy. She had not threatened. She had not argued. She had offered release. And yet the unease grew, for it revealed that she was neither desperate nor weak. She stood in calm dignity, even while scorned. The master of the ritual raised his hands for silence. The law is clear. Any who stand in the circle may extend a hand, and any may accept. It is not for us to deny. Yet to ease doubt, the bond must be tested. The trial sphere awaits. If they are true partners, the sphere will reveal it. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The trial sphere was not a simple chamber. It was an ancient device built by civilizations long gone. Its purpose was to test the unity of chosen pairs. Illusions, challenges, and unseen pressures would rise within it. Many had entered and many had failed. If Aaron and the Queen were not truly in harmony, the sphere would expose it. The Queen turned to Aaron, her crimson eyes unreadable. "Do you understand what this means?" Aaron nodded. "It means they will judge us by how we stand together. If you are willing, so am I." For the first time, a faint curve touched her lips. It was not quite a smile, but it carried the weight of centuries. "Very well. Let them see." The chamber guards moved quickly. The crowd parted as Aaron and the Queen were led from the center toward the sphere. The sphere stood at the edge of the hall, a great crystal orb that shimmered with shifting light. Its surface seemed alive, rippling like water though it was solid as stone. As they approached, Aaron felt the weight of countless eyes upon him. Some were filled with anger, others with pity, but most with disbelief. He heard murmurs about his youth, his foolishness, his certain failure, yet none of it slowed his steps. The Queen walked beside him in silence, her robes flowing across the floor. Though she towered above him, her pace matched his exactly. It was as if they were already moving in rhythm. When they reached the sphere, the master of the ritual spoke again. "Step within. The sphere will judge. If your bond is real, it will hold. If not, the sphere will cast you out." Aaron glanced once at the Queen. "Together?" "Together," she replied. They stepped forward as one, and the sphere swallowed them in a blaze of light. Inside, the world changed. The bright chamber of the hall was gone. In its place stretched a wide field under a sky of shifting stars. The air smelled of dust and smoke. Shadows moved at the edges, shapes that had no clear form. Aaron felt a pressure on his chest as though the sphere itself pressed down upon him. The Queen stood beside him, her crimson eyes scanning the horizon. "The sphere begins with fear," she said. "It shows shadows of the mind. Do not run. Stand with me." Aaron tightened his hands into fists but did not move away. The shadows drew closer, twisting into shapes of beasts and warriors. Their eyes glowed with fire, their claws stretched wide. They circled, waiting to strike. Aaron's breath quickened. The sphere was pulling at his deepest fears, shaping them into flesh. He could hear the growls, feel the tremble of the ground beneath them. The Queen placed a pale hand on his shoulder. Her voice was calm, steady, like a tether in the storm. "Do not give them power. They are nothing but your own doubts." Her touch steadied him. He met her crimson gaze and nodded. Together they stood as the shadows rushed forward. The first wave crashed against them, but instead of claws and teeth, the beasts broke apart into mist. The sphere trembled, testing harder. The shadows thickened, forming armies, storms, rivers of fire. Yet every time Aaron felt fear rise, the Queen's presence anchored him. And every time the Queen's calm began to strain, Aaron's steady courage filled the gap. Hours seemed to pass, though time inside the sphere had no meaning. At last the sky shifted, the shadows dissolved. The ground brightened beneath their feet, turning from dust to smooth stone. The pressure lifted, a voice filled the air, deep and echoing. "Unity is proven. Fear is broken. The bond stands." The light swallowed them again, and in a blink they were back in the hall. The chamber was silent. Every leader stared at them, unable to deny what the sphere itself had spoken. Aaron's hand still held the Queen's. She did not pull away. For the first time, her crimson eyes softened in a way none had seen before. She turned to the crowd and spoke with quiet strength. "The sphere has spoken. Judge not by your fear, but by truth. Today you see that the Zorath do not walk alone." The silence stretched long, heavy with thought. Though doubt still lingered, the seed of change had been planted. Humanity had reached where no one else dared, and the Queen of the Zorath had accepted. And so the galaxy shifted, though most did not yet know how deep the change would run. The chamber remained silent long after the sphere released them. Aaron and the Queen stood side by side, their hands still joined. The glow of the sphere faded behind them, but its voice still lingered in every mind present. Unity is proven. Fear is broken. The bond stands. The scaled lord who had spoken earlier looked unsettled. His claws tapped the table in slow rhythm as his eyes narrowed. "The sphere has never lied," he muttered. "If it speaks, then the bond is real. Yet I cannot accept it. A human aid and the Queen of the Zorath? This is no ordinary match. It is an insult to our traditions." The master of the ritual raised a hand. "Tradition bends before truth. The sphere has chosen. This bond is valid. It must be honored." Some leaders nodded reluctantly. Others whispered to their aides, unwilling to speak aloud. The cloaked seer leaned forward, her voice soft but carrying across the hall. Perhaps the sphere shows more than we expect. Perhaps it warns us that the age of fear must end. Her words left many uneasy, but none dared argue. Aaron felt the weight of every gaze upon him. He stood straight, though his heart beat faster than ever. He had not stepped forward for glory. Yet here he was, at the center of the galaxy's attention. The Queen released his hand at last, though her movement was gentle, not dismissive. Her crimson eyes swept across the chamber. The ritual is complete. All have chosen, even those who once thought they would not. Let us leave this hall with more than fear. The master of the ritual bowed his head. So it is done. The circle is closed. Music rose again, but it was not the same as before. It was quieter, thoughtful, as if the instruments themselves carried questions instead of joy. The leaders began to withdraw, some still speaking in heated tones, others silent in deep thought. Aaron's commander approached quickly. His voice was low and sharp. "What were you thinking, Aaron? You were not meant to step forward." Aaron kept his tone calm. "I was thinking that she should not be left alone." The commander shook his head but did not scold further. Perhaps even he had felt the weight of the sphere's judgment. The Queen turned toward Aaron. "You surprised them," she said. Her voice was softer now, meant only for him. "You surprised even me." Aaron met her crimson gaze. "I only did what was right." She studied him for a moment, then gave a slight nod. Right is a rare thing in these halls. They walked together toward the exit of the chamber. The crowd parted before them, creating a clear path. Whispers followed in their wake, some filled with wonder, others with doubt. Aaron kept his eyes forward, refusing to shrink under their stares. Beyond the chamber, the station's wide halls stretched out. Windows revealed the endless stars outside, ships gliding through the void like silver birds. Guards walked at a respectful distance, though their hands rested close to their belts. Even now they were uncertain of the Queen. As they moved through the hall, Aaron spoke quietly. "What is the sphere, really?" It felt alive. The Queen's crimson eyes turned toward the stars. "It is older than my people, older than yours. It was built to test not strength but harmony. Many think it a simple device, but it listens deeper. It hears fear, it feels trust. Few pass its trials. And you have never entered it before?" She shook her head. "My people walk alone. No one has ever dared stand with me." Aaron felt a chill at her words. To live centuries with no hand beside you was a weight he could hardly imagine. Yet she carried it with such calm dignity that few could see the ache beneath. They reached a quiet chamber prepared for private council. The walls glowed softly with blue light, the air filled with the faint hum of the station's systems. The Queen lowered herself onto a seat carved from crystal, her robes flowing around her like liquid night. Aaron remained standing. "You wonder why I accepted your hand," she said. Her eyes studied him as though searching for the truth behind his calm face. "Yes," Aaron admitted. "You could have refused me." "Why didn't you?" Her lips curved faintly, though not quite in a smile. "Because you did not step forward out of ambition. I have seen ambition in 1,000 eyes, and it always tastes the same. You stepped forward because you could not bear to see silence where there should be respect. That is rare enough to be worth testing." Aaron nodded slowly. "Then I am glad I did." For a moment silence stretched between them. Not heavy, but thoughtful. Then the chamber door slid open and a messenger entered, bowing low. "My Queen," the messenger said, his voice urgent. "There is news from the outer systems. Patrol ships have gone missing near the Black Rift. No signals returned. No wreckage found." The Queen's crimson eyes sharpened. "The Black Rift has been quiet for centuries. For ships to vanish there is no small matter." The messenger nodded quickly. "Some fear it is only raiders. Others believe something older has awakened." She dismissed the messenger with a wave of her hand. When the door closed again, she turned to Aaron. "Do you see how quickly the galaxy forgets fear of one thing when another rises? Already they will whisper of shadows beyond the rift." Aaron frowned. "Do you believe it is raiders?" Her gaze grew distant. "No, raiders do not leave silence. They leave fire and ruin. Silence is the mark of something else. Something that does not wish to be known." The word sent a chill down Aaron's spine. He remembered the shadows within the sphere, the way fear had tried to break them apart. Was the rift another kind of test? Before he could speak, the chamber door opened again. This time it was the cloaked seer from the council. Her hooded face turned toward the queen, then to Aaron. "I warned them," she said, her voice quiet but sharp. "They do not listen. They will argue for days while ships vanish. But you, Queen of Zorath, you have been chosen by the sphere. And you, human, you stood with her when no one else dared. If the rift is to be faced, it must be by those who have proven unity." Aaron blinked. "You mean us?" The seer nodded. "Yes, the sphere has already named you. The galaxy may doubt, but the ancient machines do not. If silence spreads from the rift, it will swallow us all. Only trust can cut through it. You must go." The queen's crimson eyes met Aaron's. There was no fear in her gaze, only calm strength. "Then it seems your hand has already carried you further than you imagined." Aaron took a slow breath. He had stepped forward to keep her from standing alone, not knowing where it would lead. Now it seemed that single choice had placed him on a path that might decide the fate of worlds. He straightened his shoulders. "If you go, I will go too." The queen inclined her head. "Then we go together." The seer bowed slightly. "So it begins. May the stars guide you, for the rift will not." As she left the chamber, silence returned. Aaron looked once more at the queen, seeing not only the feared vampire queen but also a leader willing to face the unknown. He realized then that whatever awaited them, their bond would be tested again. And this time, it would not be in an illusion. It would be in the cold darkness of the stars. The black rift was not marked on any ordinary chart. It was a wound in the stars, a vast region where light seemed to fade and signals dissolved into nothing. Even the strongest scanners returned only silence. Old stories called it a grave of forgotten empires, a place where ships vanished without trace. Few dared to pass near it, and none had returned from its depths. When the Queen of the Zorath announced her intent to travel there, many leaders were quick to protest. Some claimed it was folly, others that it was a trick. But the sphere's judgment still echoed in their minds. They could not deny that she and Aaron had proven unity where others had failed, and so with great reluctance the council allowed them passage. The Queen's vessel waited at the station's dock. It was unlike human ships, sleek and black, shaped almost like a living wing. Its surface shimmered faintly as though it drank light rather than reflected it. Many watched in unease as Aaron stepped aboard, but he did not hesitate. Inside, the ship was quiet. Its halls were narrow and smooth, with walls that pulsed faintly, like the veins of some great creature. Aaron felt the weight of the silence, but he also felt strangely at peace. The Queen moved with ease through her vessel, her robes flowing across the floor as though she belonged to every corner of it. "This ship is alive," Aaron said softly, running his hand across the wall. "Not alive," she answered, "but shaped with living design. It listens, it adapts. That is why it has carried my people across centuries." Aaron nodded. He could feel it, the way the ship seemed to hum with quiet awareness. It was unlike any machine he had ever known. The Queen led him to the command chamber where a wide window opened to the stars. She stood before it, her crimson eyes watching the void. "Once we cross the edge of the rift, there will be no signals, no voices from the outside. Only silence." Aaron joined her side. "Then it is good we are not alone." For a moment her lips curved faintly, a trace of warmth that others had never seen. "Yes," she said. "It is good." The ship left the station with little sound. The stars stretched out, bright and countless. Then slowly the darkness of the rift came into view. It was like a great shadow across the sky, swallowing stars as though they had never been. Even Aaron, who had crossed deep space before, felt his chest tighten at the sight. The Queen's voice was steady. "Fear is the first test. Do not let it rule you." Aaron nodded, though he could not shake the chill running through him. The rift was not only dark, it felt wrong, like a silence that pressed against the mind. They crossed the edge. At once the stars behind them dimmed. The ship's lights flickered, then steadied, but the outside window revealed only blackness. No glow of planets, no shimmer of suns, only endless dark. Hours passed, or perhaps more. Time felt strange inside the rift. Aaron sat in the command chamber, his eyes scanning the black window. The Queen remained still beside him, her gaze calm. Then the first sound came, not from the ship but from the dark outside. A low hum, rising and falling as though something vast stirred beyond sight. Aaron leaned forward. "Do you hear that?" The Queen nodded. "Yes, it is not the ship. It is the rift itself, or what lives within it." The hum grew louder, shifting into a chorus of voices. They were not words, but echoes like the memories of countless cries. Aaron felt his skin prickle. The sound pressed into his mind, filling it with unease. The Queen placed a hand on his arm. Do not listen too deeply. The rift feeds on thought. If you give it fear, it will grow stronger. He closed his eyes, breathing slow. Her touch anchored him, pulling him back from the edge of panic. When he opened them again, he found her crimson eyes watching him closely. You are steady, she said. That steadiness is rare. And you, he answered, are stronger than anyone gives you credit for. She held his gaze for a moment longer, then turned back to the window. Suddenly the darkness shifted. Shapes moved across the black, vast and formless. They twisted like smoke, yet their outlines suggested wings, claws, faces. For a moment Aaron thought he saw eyes bright and endless staring back at him. The ship trembled. Lights flickered. The Queen's voice cut through the rising hum. Shadows of the rift. They test us as the sphere did. If we break, they will swallow us. The shapes pressed closer. The hum grew into a storm of sound. Aaron felt his breath quicken, fear clawing at the edge of his mind. He gripped the armrest, fighting to stay calm. The Queen stepped closer, her robe brushing his arm. Her hand found his once more, cold but steady. Look at me, she said. He turned. Her crimson eyes filled his vision. The storm outside dimmed, the hum softened. Do not give them fear, she said. Give them truth. What truth? He asked. That we are not alone. He held her gaze. Slowly the fear ebbed. Together they turned back to the window. The shadows swirled, pressing against the glass, but they did not break through. The ship's hum grew stronger, as if fueled by their unity. At last the shapes faded. The hum of voices died. The black outside returned to silence. The Queen released his hand but did not step away. You see now why none return from the rift. It does not destroy ships. It destroys minds, Aaron nodded. His chest still rose and fell quickly, but his resolve was firm. Then we hold each other steady. We will not break. Her crimson eyes lingered on him as though weighing his words. Finally, she said, perhaps the sphere chose wisely after all. Days passed as they traveled deeper. Each day brought new tests. Whispers in the dark. Shifting lights that lured the eye. Dreams that felt too real. Where Aaron saw his own past and feared it was gone forever. Each time the Queen guided him back with calm words and steady presence. And each time her own silence grew heavy. He reminded her she was not alone. One cycle, as they rested in the quiet chamber, Aaron asked, why do they call your people vampires? The Queen's expression remained calm, but her voice carried weight. Long ago my kind drew strength from others. Not in blood, as the stories say, but in fear itself. Fear fed us, gave us power. Over time we learned to master it, to hold it within rather than take from others. But the name remained. Vampire, shadow, monster. None cared to learn the truth. Aaron studied her, his voice steady. Then they see only the surface. They do not see the choice you made. The strength it takes not to be what they expect. Her eyes softened just slightly. And you, human, you see too much. Maybe that is why I reached for your hand. A silence followed, but it was no longer heavy. It was calm, almost peaceful, despite the endless black around them. At last the ship's hum changed. The Queen rose, her crimson eyes sharp. We are close. The heart of the rift lies ahead. Through the black window a faint light appeared. Not the warm glow of a star, but a pale shimmer, pulsing like a heartbeat. It grew brighter as they approached until the entire chamber was bathed in its glow. Aaron leaned forward. What is it? The Queen's voice was low, filled with awe. An ancient station. Older than any we have known. It waits in silence. The ship slowed. The station loomed before them, vast and broken, yet still alive with faint light. Aaron's chest tightened. He knew without being told that this was what had swallowed the patrol ships. This was the secret of the rift. The Queen stood tall beside him. We have found what others feared. Now we must face it. The ancient station floated in the black heart of the rift, immense and silent. Its walls were cracked in places, yet light pulsed faintly from strange crystals embedded across its surface. The Queen guided the ship carefully through the docking bay, moving with precision born of centuries. Aaron watched, amazed at the quiet power of her presence. Even in this alien place, she commanded respect. This station, she said, her crimson eyes reflecting the pale glow outside, is older than any record we have. It has been waiting for those who can enter with courage and purpose, not fear. Aaron stepped onto the docking platform, the queen close at his side. The air smelled faintly of metal and stone, yet it carried a strange sweetness that was almost alive. Light from the walls shimmered along the floor, guiding their steps deeper into the station. "This place feels alive," Aaron said, his voice quiet. "Like it is watching us," the queen nodded. "It listens, it tests." The rift was its first defense, the silence and the shadows. Those who cannot hold themselves together fail before they reach here. Aaron thought back to the sphere and the shadows in the rift. "Then it is like the sphere," he said. "It only responds to truth and trust." "Exactly," she replied. "And few are strong enough to show both." They reached a vast chamber at the center of the station. The walls glowed with lines of light, forming patterns that shifted like living symbols. At the center stood a pedestal carved from the same black stone as the sphere back on Velmore. Upon it rested a crystal, larger than a human head, pulsing with light like a heartbeat. "This," the queen said, her voice hushed, "is the heart of the station. It holds knowledge older than the galaxy itself. It chooses who may access it, as the sphere did." Aaron stepped closer. "And it will allow us?" The queen studied him. "Only if we prove we are worthy together." She reached out a hand and placed it on the crystal. Aaron followed, and the light expanded around them, filling the chamber. Symbols moved across the walls, forming pictures and sounds that seemed to speak directly to their minds. The air vibrated, carrying knowledge and history. Aaron saw visions of civilizations long gone. He saw great cities consumed by silence, stars that burned and then died, beings who had failed the trials of the station. Then he saw others who had succeeded, leaving behind messages in shapes and sounds that only some could understand. The crystal pulsed brighter, and a voice filled the chamber, not loud, but deep and clear. "Only those who act with courage and trust may enter fully. Show unity, show purpose, show that your hands reach not for power, but for connection." Aaron looked at the queen. She met his gaze with calm strength. "Are you ready?" she asked. He nodded. Together, they pressed their hands to the crystal once more. Light surged through them, warm and heavy, and Aaron felt a strange pull at his mind. The station tested them, showing fears, doubts, and regrets. Shadows of what might have been haunted him, images of failure, of letting others down. The queen placed her hand over his. Her presence steadied him. Her calm flowed into him, quiet and strong, like an anchor in a storm. Where he faltered, she held him. Where she felt the weight of the station's power, he returned it with courage. The light brightened and the shadows dissolved. Knowledge flowed into their minds in gentle waves. History, science, art, and secrets of the stars reached them, not in words but in understanding. They saw the rise and fall of empires, the mistakes that led to silence, and the rare individuals who had made choices that saved millions. The crystal pulsed one last time. "Unity proven," the voice intoned. "Trust held. Those who stand together may carry the knowledge forward." Aaron blinked. The light receded. The chamber returned to calm, the glow of the crystal soft. The queen looked at him with a small nod. "We have passed the test." He smiled, exhausted but proud. "We did it together." The queen's crimson eyes softened. "Few humans would have reached for me as you did, and fewer would have stood without faltering in the rift. You carry something rare. It is why the sphere chose you and why the station accepted you." Aaron felt warmth rise in his chest. Then it was not just courage, but trust. Trust in you. Trust in the choice to step forward. The queen inclined her head. "And that is what the galaxy has lacked. Trust in those who are different. Trust in those who are feared. That is why we stand here." They turned to the symbols on the walls, absorbing what they could. The knowledge was vast, yet they understood enough to see that it could benefit countless civilizations. The queen spoke quietly. "This is why I remained alone. No one could reach me in truth. They saw only the stories, the fear, the legends. You saw me as I am." Aaron took her hand again, holding it firmly. "And now the galaxy will see if we carry it with us." She nodded, faint light reflecting in her eyes. "Yes, and they will know that humanity is capable of things few others can achieve. Not strength, not power, but courage, compassion, and the ability to see beyond fear." The journey back was silent, but calm. Aaron and the queen did not speak much, for words were not needed. They had learned together what others could not. Their bond was no longer merely symbolic. It was forged in shadows, in trials, and in trust. When they returned to Velmore, the station hailed them. Leaders who had once whispered doubts now watched with respect. The sphere's decision and the station's acceptance could not be denied. The Queen stepped onto the platform with Aaron at her side. The master of the ritual spoke first. The bond of the human and the Queen of the Zorath is proven beyond doubt. Those who once feared must learn from this example. Unity is not dictated by history but by choice. Leaders nodded, some slowly, some reluctantly. The humans and the Zorath had changed the meaning of partnership for the entire galaxy. The Queen addressed the assembly. Fear isolates. Courage unites. Those who stand together, who reach beyond the stories of old, will be remembered. Today, the bond between a human and a Zorath is no longer unusual. It is a symbol of what can be achieved when fear is set aside. The crowd was silent for a long moment, then applause began. Not loud, not immediate, but thoughtful. The music returned, soft and steady, carrying a new rhythm of understanding and hope. Aaron smiled faintly. "We did more than survive," he whispered to the Queen. "Yes," she replied. "We showed the galaxy what humans can offer." In that moment, the station, the sphere, and the rift felt far away. They stood together, hand in hand, and the galaxy seemed just a little smaller, a little brighter because of one human's choice to reach out and one Queen's choice to accept. The lesson was clear. Strength is not only in power, wisdom is not only in age, and the galaxy is vast, but the courage and compassion of a single human can change even the stars. The Queen turned to Aaron once more. "Few have seen me as I am. Fewer still have reached for what is best in me." Aaron smiled. "Then we know now. Together we can face whatever comes next." She nodded, crimson eyes glowing softly. "Yes, together." The station glimmered quietly in the distance, the stars beyond shining brighter than before. The galaxy had witnessed a partnership unlike any other, and through it, humanity had proven its worth. The journey of trust and courage had only begun, but the path ahead felt lighter with two hearts moving as one.